So, the conversation is centered around silent killers. That disease or disorder, or biological, maybe chemical, or physical agent that is capable of causing death without first producing noticeable or recognizable symptoms.
And top of the list, we're told, are heart diseases, hypertension or high blood pressure, and diabetes.
And before we go fully into all of that, let's remind you of a few of the many, maybe happy and not so happy things happening within this week. Helen, the most obvious is the news of the 12-year-old.
The Bowen University incident.
College.
Bowen
College. And as much as we don't want to single out Bowen College, I'd like us to maybe look at what is happening, the incidents of bullying in schools. How are we going to get it under control?
It's been with us for a long time.
Yes.
It's been with us right from
So does it have to stay with us for longer?
No, it doesn't have to. And the most annoying thing and scary aspect of that for me is that the authorities of whatever school gets involved, instead of coming together with the appropriate authorities and the parents of who the victims are to really get to the root cause, they are on the fence.
That would be an assumption. I'm sure that any school that is worth its salt would set up something, get to the bottom of it. And I hope that is what Boeing is doing.
We hope that.
So let's preempt them.
Okay, because
let us take a deep breath, not get overexcited.
You did say that Bowen is the one that is at the center of it now. But we've had series of incidences like this before. Of bullying from high schools.
From other schools, from many schools.
Yes.
And something has to be done. But I think there has to be a proper system between the government, the owners of schools, private and public or whatever, and parents have to be able to, without bias, have some input into all of this. I know that if we were going to share the blame, we would share it almost equally among all of us. The parents also have our blame.
I agree with you.
The schools and the government, the important thing is let's have a round table.
But you're apportioning blame, John, and the young life has just been cut off.
Unfortunately.
And that's what happens. That's the saddest part of
Unfortunately.
it. That
but
this
it's
boy
never
is
too
no
late
longer
for us.
alive to tell us the story.
Yeah, but it's never too late for us to go back and do it properly.
I agree with you. And on a cheery note, John, there's so many sad news and stories in the past week that we don't want to talk about.
So cheer me up.
The NSAS thing is
cheer me up, Helen.
Something that we don't even want to go into.
Yes.
I learned, and I almost was dancing, that a Prince Olawale Sulaiman Ayila, a Nigerian, became President Africa of the Asian African Chambers.
President General.
President for Africa.
Okay.
Yes, of the Chambers of Commerce in Malaysia. Yeah. And it's an NGO which promotes and facilitates trade between Asia and Africa. Of course, Asia and Africa, you're looking at the world, is like more than 80% of the population of the world.
Yes.
And so that is cheery news. And more cheering is that the beneficiaries are women and the youth.
Helen.
Yes.
Don't go there.
Yes, but that's the truth.
Why do you keep doing that?
Because the world is beginning to open their eyes to the truth that this particular set of people, the women and the young ones, need more attention.
Okay, well done, women. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, and so we're back to our main concern, silent killers. Don't forget that our interest is, first of all, preventive. And to do just that, we got you an expert with over 20 years experience in this field to kickstart the conversation, after which the lifestyle host Pharaoh will take over telling us about natural health remedies.
Yes, health is wealth, and prevention is much better and cheaper than cure. This is the concern of our first guest, a cardiologist, consultant, and speaker. Fellow National Postgraduate Medical College of Nigeria, member Nigeria Cardiac Society. Our guest is skilled in cardiovascular diagnostic procedures and treatment. I'm happy I didn't bite my tongue there. Dr. Monisola Adanijo has a diploma in leadership and management from the University of Washington, USA, and her passion for preventive cardiology led her to convene the Naveen Healthcare 10,000 Hertz project to help detect, protect, and correct cardiovascular diseases. Welcome to the program, Dr. Adanijo, co-founder, Naveen Healthcare.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
So, Moni, I know that you deal with matters relating to the heart. Yeah, heart matters. Heart matters. So today we take a look at the silent killers. And really, these are not masked gunmen and stealthy rogues who creep in on us overnight at home unexpected. It's about things that happen to your body without your knowledge, or at best, without your attention. In medical terms, tell us, what are silent killers?
Okay, thank you so much for having me. Just to make it simple, a silent killer is something that is killing you slowly. You're not aware until probably you're dead.
Wow.
And then it's too late.
Yeah.
Until you're dead.
And that's it.
So is it, well, we'll get to it, but is it that you don't know, or you're careless, or what?
Honestly, for many people, they just don't know. I wouldn't say they're careless, because if you know better, you do better. You know, many people wait for a sign to show that they're ill. They wait for bleeding, they wait for pain, they wait for a swelling somewhere, or they wait for, oh, I just don't feel well. You know, but hypertension and heart disease, stroke and all these things, many times they don't give you a warning. It just happens. And when it happens, the first symptom may just be death.
Scary.
Yes,
it would appear.
Scary.
Very scary.
Yeah.
It would appear as if hypertension, like you said?
Sometime last year, I had a close shave.
Okay.
And I didn't know what was happening. I ran some tests. I felt the final symptoms, or what I felt something early in the morning, and I called the doctor. I think that was
You felt something.
the
What
first,
was it that you felt?
I felt uncomfortable. I didn't know what was happening, right? And I had to go for a test, and the doctor said, quickly do this so test. Meet me at a cardiac hospital.
Wow.
And I got there, and before I knew it, they were punching things all over. And I said, wait a minute.
What's going on?
What is going on? And they said, you just had a heart attack.
Wow.
You were lucky.
And that was how it was.
Yes.
So I could have just...
Yes. Yes. You see, people assume heart attacks are as dramatic as they see on TV.
Yes.
Someone is clutching their
I was
chest,
expecting you to slam me on the floor.
It doesn't always happen like that.
Wow.
It doesn't always happen like that.
Wow.
It doesn't always happen like that. But people always expect some dramatic, scene, clutch your chest, fall to the ground, dramatic music playing in the background. It's usually extremely unglamorous. For many people, all they feel is discomfort. I just don't feel
discomfort.
well.
That was all I felt.
I just don't feel okay.
My arm, my chest was tight.
Oh, that's it.
For
You
days.
had the symptoms already. Chest tightness going down your arm.
I thought I was
Okay.
just...
All right. Symptoms coming on later on. Okay, Doc. It would appear as if hypertension or high blood pressure ranks highest in the silent killer category. Now, surely there are other ailments that you would want us to keep an eye on. Tell us about them.
Okay, so hypertension is extremely important, especially in black people. And it's thought that 40% of Nigerians are hypertensive. That is almost half, okay? And of the people that are hypertensive, 80% of them don't even know they have hypertension. So we have a group of people walking around not knowing they're carrying this horrible disease. Now, other things that are silent killers include obesity, high cholesterol, diabetes, cigarette smoking, alcohol, lack of exercise, stress, lack of sleep. All these things culminate in you developing heart disease. And heart disease, sometimes, see what happened to him. He had these vague symptoms, and if he hadn't been alert enough to call his doctor, he may have just been at home and something bad would have happened. So many times people just see these things as, oh, I'm fat, or I smoke cigarettes, I'm enjoying myself, or I don't exercise, I don't have energy, or I have diabetes, it's just sugar. is really more than that. And when sometimes patients come to me and I appear more worried than they are, they'll be like, doctor, why are you worried? My BP is just 160, 100. I feel fine. And I'm like, oh my God. If only you knew what I knew, you wouldn't say that. So we need to, be really careful.
Okay, now, I've tried to run through that list, and I see that you put cigarette smoking almost as an ailment. But I'm not going to hold you to that. I'm not going to hold you to that. But tell me, doctor, are these ailments designed to be silent and lethal? Or would it be our management or lack of it that gives them such impetus, to be so? So,
hypertension basically has no symptoms. Diabetes, maybe in some people, they can have frequent urination and things like that. Now, these things occur, but we also don't go for our annual physicals. We don't go for checkups. And when we do, and they tell you, okay, Mr. XYZ, you have this problem, you have high cholesterol, you have diabetes, the first thing we do is I reject it. Or the tests are wrong, or it's because I didn't sleep well yesterday. Or, we always find excuses why we don't follow up on when we see things. And then it now festers. It now becomes something huge and something that can't be managed. So I'm not sure whether they're designed. I'm not sure whether design is what we should use. But, we also need to take, our health more seriously. People assume it's your doctor's job to take care of your health. It's not. It's your job to take care of your health by yourself. I can only help you if you help yourself.
Oh, I'm beginning to guess how many of us are, in the place that you just mentioned, guilty, even before we meet the doctors. Now, definitely these silent killers may not be as undercover as they appear. So, what are the telltale signs, apart from what John felt, to say before a heart attack?
Okay, so a heart attack simply means that the blood supply to your heart has been reduced. And your heart gives you, signs that, okay, please, I'm in danger, help me. So chest pain, okay, located either in the middle of your chest or on your left side, tight or gripping, radiating to your left arm or up your neck to your jaw. When you just feel something is wrong, sometimes you feel nausea, you feel like vomiting, difficulty in breathing, palpitations,
sudden heat,
and things like that. When you start having those symptoms, please, those are serious symptoms. You need to see a doctor immediately.
You talked about sudden heat. I didn't feel sudden heat.
No,
I was
just asking, could it be part of it? I'd never been there.
The honest truth is that, not everybody has these classical symptoms.
Yes.
Especially women. You see, women and heart disease, we're a special breed because sometimes we don't even have this chest pain. For many women having a heart attack, all they have is just this feeling of unwell. And they just feel nauseated. And they just feel something. When you can't really describe how you're feeling. And if you have a history of diabetes or hypertension, then you need to get it checked out.
So women are just weird like that.
There are two of us against you.
Can you imagine the word you use?
Just
weird.
clap for you. We're not weird.
Special.
We're special.
Okay, I agree. There's two against one here.
Yes, it's two against one.
Now, see, sometimes patients will find themselves in a helpless situation. The silent killer approaches and they can't really defend themselves. Maybe middle of the night, right in the middle of Third Mainland Bridge or whatever. What are the possible steps for self-defense? Like, okay, I'm right smack in the middle of Third Mainland Bridge, traffic everywhere, and I'm feeling like tightness in my chest and all these things that Dr. Moni just talked about. Are you alone
or someone else is with you?
Well, whichever.
Okay.
Yeah. Because honestly, I'm doing that because we live in Nigeria. And, while I understand that every nation has its health challenges, in Nigeria we have our own peculiar issues. I'm not sure if there are emergency services available outside Lagos. I know in Lagos there's a number you can dial and an ambulance would come. Yeah. But if you're on Third Mainland Bridge in traffic, I'm not sure an ambulance will get to you in 2 to 5 minutes. So if you're having those symptoms on Third Mainland Bridge, it would be nice if you have someone with you that can call for the ambulance. Now, honestly, if you have your medication with you and you're having this chest tightness, just chew some aspirin. The baby aspirin people take, just chew 4. Okay?
4.
4 instead of
What?
one.
So
1,
you're
2, 3,
saying
4.
we must have aspirin?
No.
All
You
the
see,
time.
I'm assuming if you're having that, maybe you're diagnosed with hypertension, you're using your medication.
Okay.
So if you have your medication with you at that time, just choose some aspirin, okay, and then try and call for help.
Now, let's be clear. 4.
4.
What's the strength of each
75
one?
milligrams,
75
just do 4, that's 300. Now, honestly, there's really nothing much you can do. People say, oh, take deep breaths, try and cough,
Pull on your ear.
and all that. Honestly, the best thing to do is to get to a medical facility as soon as possible. But the bestest, quote unquote, thing to do is to prevent this thing from happening in the first place.
So no need for cow urine.
You can't even get cow urine on Third Mainland Bridge.
Yeah.
So, the best thing is just to prevent. If you know you are hypertensive, take your medication. If you know you are diabetic, take your medication every day. Make sure your BP is controlled. Make sure your sugar is controlled. Your cholesterol is on point. Make sure you stop smoking. I'm saying that again. Make sure you do what you need to do so that you won't have that kind of emergency situation on the bridge. But if you're somewhere where you can get, you have your emergency numbers, call an ambulance, and wait for the ambulance to come. While you're waiting, if you already are on medication and you have aspirin in your medication bag,
So
just take
aspirin.
4. Just take 4, chew, not with water, chew,
Okay.
and then you try and get to help as soon as you can.
That's
Okay.
interesting.
Now, the numbers are scary. And when we look at the devastation of the population of the secret killers, would you say that government has a role to play in keeping these numbers a bit down?
Oh yes, government has so much to do. Like I said earlier, emergency numbers. There has to be a way that we can respond to emergencies. We need to get our healthcare systems on point. Our healthcare facilities in Nigeria are not very good, so the government has that to play. Now, and then on the preventive side, we need to talk more about prevention. We need to insist that more people go and get screened. We need to insist that more people get on insurance, so that they can afford to go for screening, so they can afford to get the proper help. Because some people don't go to hospital because they can't afford it. Some people are like, oh, I can't afford to go to hospital, it's expensive, and they stay back at home. So if there is proper insurance, there are proper healthcare facilities, and in some countries, your insurance company calls you once it's time for your physical, they send you messages and things like that. They insist that you come in, and we can catch these things easily. And of course, more sensitization, people should talk more about it, so people will be aware, about these silent killers and how to prevent death.
I know that Helen has a few questions.
The director is talking to us.
Yeah, I know. But I need to get to this.
Yeah.
We've talked about the role of government. And to appear as if, government has a role to play. What about other
NGOs, bodies, organizations,
Do you feel them?
Oh, there's a lot of work being done on heart disease prevention. There's a lot of work being done on heart disease prevention by the WHO and other NGOs, okay? And it's mainly on campaigning, mass awareness, trying to reduce the salt content in our foods. I know there's a study and a project going on in Nigeria, talking to manufacturers on reducing salt content in lots of our foods, labeling food correctly so you know how much salt you're getting, and things like that. There's a lot of private people going into hypertension treatments, sponsoring drugs and things like that. But, the private sector can do something, but it won't be like if the government takes it on and makes it their own project. So a lot of work is going on, but the scope of work is huge.
Yeah.
So that's why it seems as if, nothing much is happening, but there's a lot going on, and we can only get better with time.
Okay, as a cardiologist of over 20 years experience, I want you to, let's look at what's happened over the years, maybe impact of government's involvement and whatever.
Okay.
Are you feeling more footfalls around you now or less?
Footfalls as per...
As patients coming in to see you?
Oh, well, you see, there's one thing for the government to be shouting for people to come. There's another thing for people to accept that information.
Yes.
Okay. Now, they understood that the numbers are rising.
The numbers are rising.
The numbers are rising, especially in urban areas. Urbanization, stress, like I said, eating too much salt, obesity, and things like that is higher in the urban areas, you know. And then the more the population, of course, the numbers would go up, obviously. So more patients, honestly, are coming down with cardiovascular disease. And it's unless we do something really serious about preventing, then, you know, the numbers would continue to rise exponentially.
And let's pitch men against women. Is it more males? Is it more males coming in?
Don't answer, John.
Okay.
Okay, we already have so much to take in, and we're mindful of the audience too, and we want to give them some time to probably sit down and digest as much as we have said so far. It's a two-part conversation, and so we will take a quick break. Can we?
Of course.
All right, so let's take that break. She's still with us when we come back.
She's always doing this to me. Yes, you're tuned to Plus TV Africa, channel 408 DSTV and 308 Star Times. We're discussing silent killers today. And our guest is a cardiologist, and she's still with us, Dr. Monisola Adanijo.
Okay. Before we went on that break, John asked a question, and I said, don't answer him. Let me be nice to him. Please answer him. Then we go to the next.
Okay, so you asked, remind me,
No,
is it commoner in men or women?
Yes.
Okay, so there's a slight, you know, it's more commoner slightly in men. Okay, so heart disease is commoner in men, just a little bit more than women. But it's important to know that even in females, it's still the leading cause of death. Now, heart disease kills more women than cancer.
No way.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. But even though people talk about breast cancer more because it's more, I don't know why it's more glamorous, or maybe because it's more, I don't know. But more women die from heart disease than even cancer.
Wow.
Oof, okay. And I assumed wrongly earlier that I thought Africans and Nigerians, you know, are very active. In the villages, they go to the farms. Here in town, you know, we're in traffic, bustling and hustling in Idumota and all of that. One person is moving you from the other place. And I have heard that the issue of stroke and heart disease tied to sedentary living.
Yes.
And I would think that we're very active.
No, we're not. We're actually not active, especially in the urban areas. Most times, people don't walk to places. Most people don't walk to places. We're always riding in some kind of automobile. Either you're on a bike, or you're in a tricycle, or you're in a bus. You know, you get to work, you sit down for most of the day.
Okay.
You're in traffic back home, you're sedentary. You get home, you're so tired, you sit down, someone comes, takes off your shoes, someone brings you a tray of food and all that. Someone takes off your wig for you, and you just sit there. Then you're there, you watch TV, you catch up on the news or the latest telenovela or sitcom. You doze off on the chair. Someone now wakes you up after 2 hours, go upstairs and sleep. You spend the whole day on your butt.
Yeah.
You know, so most of us are sedentary. Most of us are sedentary. And then people always assume because they walked out for 30 minutes in the morning. So people say, oh, I walk out every day for 30 minutes. I'm like, how about the other 23 hours and 30 minutes of the day? Are you still sedentary? If you are, then yes, you walked out for 30 minutes, but you're still kind of sedentary because you didn't do anything else for the whole day.
Okay. So quickly, what are the basics for caring for our hearts?
Okay, first thing you need to do, remember to go for your annual physical. Remember that's the most important thing. Now, if you think annual physical is stressful, anytime you can check your blood pressure, please do. Anytime you can check your blood sugar, please do. First thing. Second thing, we need to eat properly. We need to eat more vegetables, eat more fruits, reduce fats, reduce... Why are you looking at him like that? Reduce fats, reduce carbohydrates, reduce salt. Most of what we eat is salty. Many of us eat out. Eating food outside is salty.
Bread, the rice, the yam.
Bread and rice is not even the issue. It's the quantity of bread and rice you're eating that's the issue. It's not the bread that is the problem. When you eat too much, that's the problem. We're eating a lot of packet foods. A lot of foods are processed with high levels of salt and things like that. We don't take enough water. we don't sleep enough, we are all stressed. So we need to reduce all those. And then we need to exercise, obviously, every day, exercise every day, at least 30 to 45 minutes of walking, and then try not to be so sedentary, okay? And then, of course, we need to stop smoking, we need to stop taking alcohol and things like that. Now, if you do all these things, then there's a greater chance you will be preventing heart disease.
Dr. Adanijo, I hear that a glass of wine.
I was waiting for that question. See, everybody asks me that question so much all the time.
A glass of wine. I mean, there's nothing better than a glass of wine a day.
Okay, so
at room temperature.
Yes, red wine.
Yes.
Red wine is fantastic. Red wine contains chemicals that care for your heart, but it also contains alcohol.
Oh.
So with red wine, moderation is key. Now, moderation is key, meaning a glass of red wine every day, maximum. Now, a glass of red wine obviously won't be the size of your mug, for example, because that's a lot.
That's relative.
So, 120 mils, is the recommended daily allowance for red wine. So, like half of this mug is all you need every day. And for red
How
wine,
many times?
just was one, a glass. You see, and that's the thing with red wine, more is not better. More is not better because it still contains alcohol. Remember?
Yeah.
Exactly. So just like half of this mug, that's 120 mils, a glass of red wine every day. Fine, perfect. But our Nigerian brothers and sisters
They will
not take one glass of red wine, or they will increase the size of their glass so that it will be this big, and then they'll be like, it's half, or they'll say, I didn't want the wine to waste, so let me just finish it. That's too much wine.
Wow.
Okay, now let me take you to medical school.
That was a long time
ago. Back to medical school. Yes, we've talked about high blood pressure, we've talked about hypertension. If I was going to set you an exam question and I said, define high blood pressure.
Explain it to the layman out there.
Okay. So high blood pressure, simply put, is when the pressure in your arteries is elevated. Now, the way I like to describe it is the heart is a pump, right? And the heart pumps blood around the body. And for the blood to move around the body, there has to be a certain pressure that the heart will exert. It's like when you have a pumping machine in your house, and the pumping machine is pumping water, the pumping machine has to exert pressure so that the water can go to all parts of your home. That's just the way the heart works. Now, when this pressure is too high, that's what we call hypertension or high blood pressure, when the pressure in your arteries is above a certain level. Now, over the years, the cutoff for hypertension has been changing. Okay, in the 70s, it was 160 over 100. In the 80s, they brought it down to 140 over 90. But recently, the threshold has been dropped further to anything more than 130 over 80. Because studies have shown that from 130 over 80 and above, your body starts to change and show the effect of high blood pressure. So now if your BP is 130 over 80 or above, you have hypertension and you need treatment.
So I have to adjust my threshold now. I have it as 160 over 90.
No. It has to change. It has to change. Especially because you've had an event before.
Yeah.
So your threshold should be extremely normal. So 130/80 for you.
130/80. Well, it's okay. I still take my pressure. And,
Fantastic.
At least with the COVID thing, you're taking your pressure almost every minute. Anywhere you go, your blood pressure.
And another truth is that COVID makes hypertension worse. Many patients, when they have COVID, their BP becomes uncontrollable. And then we realize that more people that die from COVID have all these pre-existing conditions, hypertension, heart disease. Some people did not even know they had hypertension or diabetes or anything until they caught COVID. And then when they caught COVID, your BP is high or your blood sugar is high and things like that. So, we need to be especially careful in this COVID era to check our BP because people that have hypertension and diabetes are more at risk of dying from severe COVID than other people.
Ooh. All right.
That's a lot.
We did say at the beginning that we're, just staying within preventive medicine here. Because it's better not to get there at all. And you talked to us about keeping the body fit, busy, not being sedentary, watch what we eat, and all of that. They tell me that someone says that depression is also one of this. How do you stay away from being depressed in an environment such as ours?
Okay, so yes, it's true. Your mental health impacts your heart health, because when you have mental health issues, the body sees it as a stressful state and releases all kinds of hormones that wreaks havoc to your heart. Now, I always tell people, the environment happens and you react. Now, the way you react to environment is what matters. Yes, there's a problem, there's no money, economy is bad, things are happening. But the way you react to your situation is what will affect your body. Now, I'm not saying you should say nothing is happening, be saying affirmations when there's a problem or you don't do anything about it. But sometimes, your own state of mind, you're managing your emotions, managing your stress, regardless of what is going on around you, is really key to stress reduction, reducing depression, and caring for your mental health. And of course, the African society, we were brought up in a village setting. Everybody's
communal.
Thank you. Communal. There's a community. There's always someone you can talk to. There's always someone you can ask for help and things like that. And we're losing that in the society now because we're becoming more Western. So I think we need to look more into that, asking for help, from your community, developing fantastic relationships, and things like that will also help.
Learning to speak out, not bottle things up.
And then when people tell you something, you don't go and type it on social media. Guess what this person told me, and things like that. Having people you can trust and being a trustworthy person as well. Asking for and receiving help. Being a good sister's keeper or brother's keeper to your neighbor, and things like that will go a long way. Because loneliness itself is a problem.
There's a practical question, because 10 things are running through my mind. And I wake up at 3 a.m., for example, 4 a.m., and one of it hits me. And I have a feeling that my heart is beating faster than normal. What does that mean? That's
anxiety. Okay. Like I said, when you're anxious, your heart beats faster than normal. You
healthy?
Understand? No. Not healthy at all.
Don't worry, Helen, you're okay.
so that's why we need to get to the bottom of. You see, many of us in Africa don't understand that mental illness is an illness like malaria or typhoid or hypertension. We need help. People just think, mental illness. I'm not mad though. I don't have to see a psychiatrist. But sometimes just talking to somebody, the thing you're anxious about may not even be anything serious if you share your problems with someone.
Okay.
Now, there is hypo and there is hyper.
Yes.
Which is which? Okay,
so hypertension is high blood pressure. Hypotension is low blood pressure. Now, low blood pressure generally happens when the person has some kind of illness. Maybe they have some sepsis, or they're bleeding, or they vomited too much.
Sepsis?
Okay, horrible infection. I beg your pardon. Sorry, I'm trying to.
Okay.
So when somebody is severely ill, and maybe the person is vomiting, or the person has been bleeding, or having severe diarrhea, or losing fluids, or someone has really bad infection, the blood pressure can drop to really dangerous levels. Now, hypotension is also low, because when the pressure of the blood going around your body, right, is too low, obviously, the blood supply to your organs
as a result
will be cut
of what?
off.
If I may ask?
Bleeding, fluid losses, severe infections, drug overdose, and things like that. So when the pressure is really low, the blood supply to your organs obviously will be really, really, really low. And then your organs can start shutting down one by one.
And that's as bad as the high blood pressure too?
It's worse.
Yes, it's worse because it kills in minutes. It kills in minutes.
So is high blood pressure treatable?
It's manageable. There's no permanent cure for hypertension just yet, but you can manage blood pressure by two ways. You either do your lifestyle alone, your exercise, reduce your salt, eat properly, or a combo of lifestyle and medication, okay, to bring down the blood pressure and keep it at a manageable level.
And it's not something you can do on your own. It means you must.
No. You can't do it on your own. You need to see your doctor.
Okay.
You need to see a doctor to help you.
Now, what is it to suffer a stroke?
Different from what you felt.
Okay, so
I never had a stroke.
no, it's the same thing. So what you felt What you felt was as a result of reduction in blood supply to your heart. A stroke is the same thing, just as it affects the brain. So when the blood pressure gets so high, you know, either a blood vessel bursts in the brain, the person starts to bleed into the brain and then has a stroke, or because of the long-standing hypertension or diabetes, the blood vessels of the brain gets narrow and then blood flow is reduced, the person gets a stroke.
There's usually a relativity between diabetes and
hypertension.
Yeah.
I call them the children of the same mother. Hypertension, diabetes, high cholesterol, and obesity, because most of the time, you know, they exist together. At least if one is present, then you should look for the others, because most of the time they occur together and they have similar problems and things like that.
Okay.
Now,
go on.
I feel like going to medical. Now tell us quickly, because I think we're running out of time.
We are.
That's the reason she gave me the eye. So cardiac arrest, stroke, heart attack, heart failure, heartbreak. Are they all one and the same?
No, they're not. So let me just explain quickly. Cardiac arrest is when the heart stops. It's like when you're running and police arrest you, you stop. So cardiac arrest, the heart stops, period. Stops working, stop, end, that is it. Heart attack and a stroke are about the same thing. Is when the blood supply to either the heart or the brain is reduced. Okay, so that's, the person is still alive, but there's reduced blood supply. Heart failure is when the heart is not doing what it's supposed to do. It's not supplying blood to the body properly. The person is still alive, the heart is still beating, but it's not efficient, and blood supply to the body is reduced. So that's the difference.
Heartbreak.
Heartbreak is not anatomical. Heartbreak is not anatomical.
They can kill you.
I know. It's the mental health part. Yes, because, you know, when somebody is heartbroken, you know, there are mental health issues that can now lead to real physical heart problems.
And it may just be a decision to end life, not that a health condition ends the life. You know, so that's heartbreak.
Yeah, so
okay.
It's
so if someone were just tuning in right now, and we're talking about silent killers, and there's some key things or areas that person needs to take away, what would they be?
Okay, so takeaway, first of all, you don't wait until you have a symptom before you go for your checkup, okay? Because hypertension is extremely common. Almost half of the adults in Nigeria are hypertensive, 40% and climbing, okay? So first takeaway. Second takeaway, when you have been informed that you're hypertensive, please use your medication. Please use your medication. Don't say it's not your portion. Use your medication. Make sure your blood pressure is controlled. Then you need to change the way you live your lifestyle. You need to exercise more. You need to eat properly and reduce vices. You know,
vices, smoking,
alcohol, recreational drug use, and all that.
Okay, so I guess that we must choose prevention over cure. We must choose to get loads of information about these matters. They may not come to you as easily as you need them, so you should go find this information. And it's been an honor learning so much from you. Life is only once. When you're gone, you're gone.
That's it.
And so this is serious matter.
It is.
Silent killers all around us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Here.
Thanks.
Moni, I can't thank you enough, you know, because I think you've really opened our eyes to a lot of things that we've taken for granted. Yeah.
All right. So still looking at silent killers, this time from the perspective of natural health remedies. And that will be when Pharaoh Shonuga comes on board with her guest, Dr. Lolade Akinrinola.
While we get ready.
Don't just laugh. I got that right.
You did.
Thank you.
You're close enough. While we get ready for Pharaoh, let's do some shake-ups and pumping up the blood.
She told us to.
It's time to hit the gym with Dolly.